What it do, what it do, what it do, Lakers crew. Welcome to Lakers Over Everything. Purple and gold till we die. Purple and gold we ride. I bleed purple. My heart beats gold. It's Lakers Over Everything. We're talking everything Lakers head coach. Yes. We know the Lakers have a head coaching vacancy to fill after firing Frank Vogel, 2 years removed, only 2 years removed from winning an NBA championship. Frank Vogel is no longer with the Los Angeles Lakers, and they are searching for a new coach. We know Phil Jackson has been brought in to aid Genie Assist, to advise, advise and aid Genie Bus. I don't know what I'm talking about. Genie Assist. Genie Bust to aid her in who to hire to become the new Lakers head coach. Rewind the clock back 2 years ago, 2019, or a few years ago, 2019, he was also brought in to do that, and he actually advised the Lakers to go ahead and go with Tyronn Lue, a coach who had much success with LeBron James. In Cleveland, LeBron labels him as the best coach in basketball. Unfortunately, the Lakers didn't do that. They didn't listen to Phil. They didn't do that. They wanted to choose Coach Lue's coaching staff, his assistants, his bench staff. And then they also didn't want to give him an extra year, which he wanted. I think they wanted to give him 3 years. He wanted 4 years. So that stuff fell to shambles, of course. So here we are again. We hired Frank Vogel. He 2 years on his deal. And here we go again. We're looking for a new coach. So I'm going to give you 10 names. And I'm going to put it in order from least to greatest of who I feel the Lakers should be talking to, should be interviewing. And one of these 10 names, I believe, will become the Lakers head coach. A lot of names you've heard of, a couple you probably haven't, and you may be surprised with my number one. But nevertheless, I'm going to give you 10 names, and then I'll follow it up with the video here of telling you why. Or actually, we just posted that video, so that video is out. It's live. Who I would select, who my number one pick is. So if you watch that video, by the time you watch this one, you probably already know who my number one is. All right, but I'm just going to roll up the list. I'm going to tell you why. Again, some names you've heard of, a couple you probably haven't. But let's dive right in, man. I'm not going to keep you long. Number 10. Doc Rivers, champion coach. Of course, he won that 1 year in Boston. He had Boston in the mix a lot. And everywhere he goes, he has his team in the mix. He had the LA Clippers in the mix when he was here. Philly, he has them in the mix every year. Now, unfortunately, they're in trouble now. They're down 0-2 to the Miami Heat. Superstar Joel Embiid, and probably MVP, maybe the MVP winner, or for sure he's MVP finalist. Joel Embiid, he's either the winner or the runner-up. I probably would go ahead and give it to him this year. Finally give him that MVP award. But then again, if it goes to Joker back-to-back years, you can't hate on that either. But nevertheless, he's been out, dealing with a concussion and an orbital fracture. So he's all banged up. What's new? And those Philadelphia 76ers, they are struggling without him. James Harden is looking like a shell of himself. So could Doc be on the hot seat? Now, because Joel Embiid is out, that may buy Doc a little wiggle room. He may not get fired, if they have an early second round exit. However, keep this in mind. The current regime there, the current GM in Philly, he's not Doc's, he's not, Doc isn't his guy. Doc didn't hire him. So he may want to start fresh, and get his own guy in there. And I believe Mike D'Antoni, to cater to James Harden and to get James Harden back to what he used to be, he may be an option there. If Doc is removed, So keep an eye out on that. But Doc Rivers, number 10 on my list. I do not want Doc Rivers coaching the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't. However, if you want to go with an experienced coach, he may be the guy. And I just don't want Doc because he had a lot of bad things to say about the Lakers when he was with the Clippers. And I'm just not in the mood to forgive him for that. So number 10 on my list, Doc Rivers. I spent entirely way too much time there. But let's keep it rolling. Number 9, another veteran coach, Quinn Snyder, another veteran coach who's been kicked out of the playoffs, had an early first round exit. Pretty embarrassing. They came in as a top seed. Last year they were a top seed, number 1, and they disappointed, right? Every year, they've made the playoffs the last 6 years, haven't made it to the Western Conference Finals. So they've been they kind of fizzle out during the postseason, and that's just not something that I want for my Los Angeles Lakers. So I'm not a big fan of Quinn Snyder. A lot of people are high on him. When you talk about vets, I understand it, but he's number 9 on my list. I don't want him. I want to do something new, something different. Of course, he has Lakers ties, so that always plays a big effect. He was on Mike Brown's coaching staff, so we'll see. Quinn Snyder, it's all up to what they're going to do there. Kind of like Doc. Utah has a new owner, and Utah has D Wade, a part of that ownership group, and they didn't hire Quinn Snyder, so there's no allegiance to Quinn Snyder, so they may cut him loose, especially if they decide to rebuild with something that is being rumored, to be done there in Utah. Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, they may be blowing everything up, and if they're blowing everything up, then that probably includes Quinn Snyder, so keep an eye on that, although Quinn Snyder has come out and said that he doesn't find the LA coaching job attractive. I don't find you attractive, Quinn Snyder. Not at all. I don't want you here in LA, but we'll see what happens. He's number 9 on my list. Number 8 on my list. Now, this guy is number 8. He's really could be the number 1. He's so far down on my list. He's probably the biggest name, biggest star, biggest name out of all these guys. But the reason he's so low is because he has a new contract where he's at. And I just don't. It's gonna take heaven and earth, to move, moving heaven and earth to get him. We probably have to give up some assets, a first round pick, which we don't really have to give up for a coach. But it's none other than Toronto's own Nick Nurse, champion coach. Won the championship in 2019, delivered the first championship to Toronto, the first and only championship to Toronto, probably the only one they'll ever get. But Nick Nurse, again, you're talking LA, so let's go big name fishing, let's go big star hunting, and it doesn't get any bigger than Nick Nurse when it comes to coaches. I would love to have him in LA, but again, I just think there's too many hurdles to overcome to get him to come to LA. Now, he is a part of Clutch Sports. We all know that's LeBron James's agency, so there's always those ties. We'll see. So Nick Nurse did come out and address the rumors and said, they're just rumors. He hasn't heard anything, and he doesn't know where these rumors come from. So we'll see. I would love it, but it's going to take some assets to do it because he's under contract. We can't sign him. We'll have to trade for him. And that means some assets, unless he asks them to let him out of his contract, which I don't see happening. He has a nice contract and nice thing going up there. So Nick Nurse is number 8 on my list. Number seven. Juwan Howard. He would be a first-time NBA head coach. Of course, he has some assistant coach. He's the current head coach of the Michigan Wolverines. Again, he's a little lower on my list. I would love to have him there. He could easily be my number 1 as well. But the reason he's so low on my list, because, he pretty much said that he's not interested in the job. So it's a dream. Having him would be a dream. He came out and said it a couple weeks back when the Lakers first fired Frank Vogel. He's coaching his 2 sons there at Michigan, and he doesn't plan on leaving them to come to the NBA. So number 7 will be a pipe dream, but he's number 7 on my list. Juwan Howard. Number six. Now, this is a name no one's talking about. I'm probably going to have to make a separate video about this name. It's a former Laker. Much success as a head coach in the league. He's currently sitting on the Golden State Warriors bench under Steve Kerr. We're talking about Mike Brown. It's Mike Brown. Again, he's sitting currently on Steve Kerr's bench. He's an assistant coach on that staff. He's been there since 2016, so he's won a championship or two there. Yeah, man, he's had much success. Of course, he coached LeBron James in Cleveland for 5 years. The years 2005, so 2005 to 2010. He was there. They did some great things together, won a lot of games together. And then, of course, he coached the Lakers, 2011 to 2013 after that. So he has those Laker ties. He checks that box. And he's been learning, been rubbing elbows with Steve Kerr. Part of that great staff. So that's a name that no one is talking about, but I can very, very, very see the Lakers offering Mike Brown the contract. That's the Laker thing to do. Mike Brown. So keep an eye out on that. Again, I'll probably make a separate video about that, but he's number 6 on my list. Keep it rolling. Number 5. This is the name I haven't seen anyone talk about, but as I'm trying to look for a new face. I'm trying to look for a first-time head coach, and as I was doing some digging, I came across this name, Will Hardy. Yes, Will Hardy. Will Hardy is the assistant. He's an assistant coach for the Boston Celtics. He's a part of that coaching staff this year. A great coaching staff this year. The head coach, let me get the name for you. The head coach there is Ime Udoka. That's the head coach, a young head coach, first-time head coach. And, that coaching staff is very surprising. They've been surprisingly good. They got Boston sitting at the 2 spot, battling in Milwaukee right now. So their season is still going. But they had a heck of a season. They're having a heck of a season. And I could very well see them representing the Eastern Conference. And the defense, they have the number 1 defense during the regular season and the playoffs as well. That defense is legit. They absolutely shut down the Brooklyn Nets, bottled up KD, Kyrie, shut them down, sent them home, packing in a sweep. So if you could get a guy off of that staff, I love it. Will Hardy's only 33 years old. And not only has he, done great things there in Boston, but he also coached for, before he went to Boston, he coached for Coach Greg Popovich. So he was a part of that staff in San Antonio. So, someone coming from the Popovich lineage, you definitely want to pounce on that. That's a name to look out for. An assistant coach. He'll be a first-time head coach. Will Hardy. A lot of people believe it may be his time. Teams giving these assistants opportunities. So he's a name to look out for. 33 years old. Will Hardy. All right. Let's keep it rolling. Number 4 on the list. Number 4. This guy could easily be number 1 as well. But the reason he's number 4, I'll talk about. But we're talking about Mark Jackson. We know the ESPN commentator, ABC commentator, calls the games on Sundays and ABC and all that good stuff. But we know prior to that, he was the coach before Steve Kerr got there. He was the head coach for the Golden State Warriors. And he's been itching to get back into the league. And, his time may come. This may be the year that Mark Jackson returns. But unfortunately, I don't think it'll be for the Los Angeles Lakers. That's why he's a little lower on my list. Again, he could very well be number 1. If he was the guy, I would be so happy with Mark Jackson getting another opportunity. LeBron definitely approves of him. But the reason I say probably not for the Lakers is because he's actually looking like the front runner to land the job for the Sacramento Kings. He's already interviewed for the Kings a couple of times, I believe, and they want to hire him. All reports, all signs are pointing towards them hiring him and offering him a position. So the Lakers are a little late on that boat. We may not even get a meeting with Mark Jackson. before he ends up becoming the head coach for the Sacramento Kings. All right, so Mark Jackson, number 4 on the list. Number 3 on the list is another assistant coach, Adrian Griffin. He's an assistant for Nick Nurse, Toronto Raptors. We talked about them. He's been an assistant there for quite some time, has over a decade of coaching experience, assistant coaching experience, so he'll be a first-time head coach. And he's another one of those names where it's probably time for an assistant to get an opportunity. He's one of those guys. And the Lakers did seek permission on Wednesday. The Lakers sought permission to interview him. They sought permission from the Toronto Raptors to actually interview Adrian Griffin. So that's a name to look out for. Look out for him. Again, he's been on that staff there with Nick Nurse for quite some time. He was a part of that 2019 championship team. So he's a championship coach, albeit he'll be a first-time assistant coach. So look out for Adrian Griffin. He's number 3 on the list. Number 2 on the list. Number two. I would be very, very happy if the Lakers gave this man an opportunity. He's another assistant coach, over a decade of experience as assistant coach. And I believe it's his time to get a crack at a head coaching job. And he's already on the Lakers bench. He won as an assistant coach with the Lakers. When the Lakers fired Frank Vogel, he remained. They didn't fire him. They kept him, which means they want him to be at least a part of the staff, the coaching staff of whoever they hire. But how about not just hire him? We're talking about Phil Handy. Phil Handy. Could he be the guy? Could he be the guy? Could it be his time? Man, he started out as a trainer, a developer, and he was great at it. And now he's been great as an assistant coach. And I think it's time to hand Phil Handy the keys. Let's give Phil Handy an opportunity. I would love to have him as the Lakers head coach. He's respected all around the league. Definitely respected by LeBron James. They won a championship together. And when we almost lost Phil Handy last summer, LeBron was devastated by that, and we ended up keeping him. I forget who we almost lost Phil Handy to, but thank God we didn't. And now let's go ahead and elevate him. Let him be the man. And he was asked about that, and he said he's ready, man. He said he's ready to accept the challenge. He's ready to become a head coach in this league. He said he's learned so much, the X's and O's, learned so much about defense, about offense, and he's ready to take the keys and become a head coach in this league. So come on, let's elevate Phil Handy. He's number 2 on my list. And number 1 on my list. And then there was one. If you're kind of dialed in to the Lakers coaching search, you noticed I didn't mention this name, so you already know who number 1 is. And also, I made a separate video about this that's out now. And it came out prior to this video, so if you check that video out, then you know I'm talking about Darvin Ham. Darvin Ham. He's an assistant on the Milwaukee Bucks staff, Coach Mike Budenholzer's staff. He's on that staff. He's been there for a while, been there for a minute. Won a championship. He's a part of that championship Milwaukee team of last year, 2021 champions. So yeah. Darvin Ham. That's my number 1. Man, go ahead and give that man an opportunity. He's respected in the league as well, and a lot of people said it's his time as well. So I would love for the Lakers to hand the keys to Darvin Ham. And one of the big things that I like about Ham is, that the Lakers probably like. One, he has Lakers ties, so he checks that box. You see some photos of him there working out with Dwight Howard and also working out with Metta World Peace. So yes, he was an assistant, a trainer, and all that stuff on the Lakers staff before. So he has Laker ties. He checks that box, which the Lakers love. And then 2, he'll be a first-time head coach, which means you can kind of pick his staff. That's something that the Lakers are adamant on doing. Picking the head coach's staff. They tried to do it with Tyronn Lue. They did it with Frank Vogel. And, I believe they still want to do it. That's why the Lakers assistant coaches are still on the roster. They weren't fired when Frank Vogel was fired, and Darvin Ham allows you to do that because he's a first-time head coach. I don't think that he wouldn't mind you picking his staff. And I would love to see Rajon Rondo join that staff as well. Again, I talked about that in a separate video, so go check that out. My video entitled "Why Darvin Ham is My Selection for the head coaching spot." But I would love to see Rajon Rondo a part of that staff, and get younger and do something new with Darvin Ham. So those are my 10 guys. I believe one of those guys will become the new Lakers head coach. Again, a lot of names you probably heard, a couple you probably haven't, but let me run it through once again. Number 10, Doc Rivers. Number 9, Quinn Snyder. Number 8, Nick Nurse. Number 7, Juwan Howard. Number 6, Mike Brown. Number 5, Will Hardy. Number 4, Mark Jackson. Number 3, Adrian Griffin. Number 2, Phil Handy. And number 1, Darvin Ham. Sound off in the comments section below. Let me know what you think of these 10 guys. Let me know which one you would love to see become the new head coach of our Los Angeles Lakers. If there's another name out there that we didn't mention, I would love to hear that name as well. So holla at your boy. Let me know. Drop a like on this video. And also, if you haven't done so already, subscribe. If you're a Lakers fan, this is the place for you. This is where you want to be. So come on and join the family. All right. And also turn on that notification bell while you're at it. So every time we drop a new video, you will be notified and you can come hang out with us. You can come check us out. All right. Purple and gold till we die. Purple and gold we ride. I bleed purple. My heart beats gold. It is and forever will be. Lakers over everything. LOE fam. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.